Hey guys, it's Cauliflower and welcome to my video on why I started my Small Channel Shoutouts series here on YouTube and on my channel. So, I was thinking about this concept a couple of days ago about, giving you guys a little bit more of an in-depth reason and analysis of why I do certain things on my channel. Because I figured it would be a little bit more personal and also give you guys more of an idea of what the concept really is instead of it just being in a title or a description or in tags. I'm giving you almost like a how-to use my series Small Channel Shoutouts. So let's get started. Now, the first thing is where did I get the concept for it and why did I start this in the first place? So back a few months ago when I was co-admitting a beauty group, I noticed that a lot of the women that were joining were very small channels, just starting out, young girls that wanted to get involved in beauty and get involved in doing all sorts of videos. But once they did that, or once they started a YouTube channel, they didn't really know how to put themselves out there to gain the subscribers or the subscriber count that they were looking for, or to gain the audience they were looking for. And it didn't occur to me then, because being a fellow YouTuber and being somebody who I consider is a small channel, for me I was mainly working on, of course, the things that I was doing for my own channel, and not realizing that when you start out, or when you first start out, the frustration level you can have as far as like what you're putting out and how you're putting it out and who is actually watching and who is actually subscribing and staying, not just watching a few videos, kind of clicking out and not giving you that subscriber count. And nobody was making videos on the subject. Now, we all make videos complaining about those bigger YouTubers, and I do it too. I say the same things about a lot of the bigger YouTubers. Once they hit certain numbers, they completely forget about, how they got there in the first place. Their content changes. They become a little bit more repetitive. They become a lot more about just promoting themselves than giving back to the subscribers that helped them get there to begin with. But for me, being in the small channel community, there isn't a lot of discussion about what we do and why we do it and what got us here in the first place. So for me, I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of that in-depth analysis. So, when I started Cauliflower about, 3.5 years ago, I wasn't Cauliflower, I was just me. And I called myself Adapta or Princess Adapta. I called myself really ridiculous names. So that's the first thing that you should know about starting any kind of a YouTube channel is what kind of a name describes you. Of course, you could always use your maiden name, you can use your married name, you can use your birth name, what have you. A lot of the time, some of the names are taken, and therefore you're forced to have to use your first and last name, which sometimes could be a little bit, sketchy, because you don't want everybody to know your first and last name. But if that's what you want to go with, that's definitely something you can do. For me, I decided to use Cauliflower for personal reasons. For me, branching out into the beauty community, and also because I wanted my own personality on it, I decided to combine my handle, which was from an album that I loved all these years by Smashing Pumpkins called Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, and I'll put that up here somewhere. And every handle I've ever used was Colly, C-H-O-L-Y. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that, and because I was doing beauty, I was like, what's going to sound good with Colly? And that's when I said flower, because unlike everybody who pronounces it like the vegetable, it just sounded flower. So it's the best of kind of like my world and the beauty world. So that's where I came up with my channel name. And then after that, what did I decide to film and why was I filming it? Well, when I first started filming, when I first started doing videos, I was doing drugstore hauls. It's a little bit scary when you first decide to do this because there's so many factors that you have to realize, and you don't realize it when you first turn on that camera. Now for me, I had a forget even what it was, like a really cheap camera at the time. Actually, no, I was using a webcam from a computer, which wasn't even mine. So every time you saw a video, you saw like this shadow and you hear like a burp, and that's how I knew I had to start talking. But once I started doing that, it was like practicing, you know, like you would if you were talking in front of a mirror, if you were practicing to make a... Sorry about that, guys. That's another thing you have to consider is the interruptions. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So anyway, when I was recording on a webcam, it was like I wasn't really in front of a camera, so I was sort of just talking to the computer. When it came down to actually using a camera, then it becomes so much more personal and so much more scary, because at this point now it is only you the focus is on. You have to get the right lighting, you have to get the right, you know, make sure you're in focus, because don't let me get started on how many times I've had blurry issues on my cameras. But all of those things come with the territory, but that's not really what this video is about. This video mainly is about the people that start out, you know, doing something they love like I did. And then once you hit your comfort zone, once you find your niche, once you've found something that you know you can give your opinion, because everybody on YouTube gives their opinions, but sort of like your perspective on, then you know this is what your channel is going to be consisting of. So for me, it was mainly doing freebies and samples, couponings, hauls, and of course it all related to beauty. But since I started my channel, a lot of things have gravitated towards other areas and other things. Of course, my Friday freebies and swap mail and review mail now I've added on. But my Friday freebies was my biggest video. It was like, this was the most viewed videos that I was doing on YouTube, because of course when people see freebies in the title, they want to know where and what they are. So that was one of my biggest things, was to keep the freebies going on my channel. And then again, things started to change when freebies were becoming kind of like minuscule, and then reviews were becoming the bigger thing. And it started with Thomason and Brandbacker and all of those others, Influencer, Smiley360, Expo TV, all those kinds of things. What is it, Buzz Agent, all those types of things. But then after a while it was Amazon reviews, and Amazon reviews got to be huge, and then they got really huge. So I became a part of that community. But before that, I jumped further into the beauty community, which I went in a different direction with. It was more about doing more personal stuff, and it was more about doing collabs and more about doing things that I'm not really comfortable with but kind of tried out. And honestly, I'm not big on doing looks or get ready with me's or tutorials or that kind of thing. I will do them every now and again. There was a couple that I enjoyed doing. There was an 80s collaboration I really loved doing. It was actually a decades collaboration, and of course I got the 80s. And I really enjoyed doing that kind of a tutorial when it's really not taken so seriously. And that's part of the reason why I don't do them on YouTube, because tutorials are taken pretty seriously, as I've noticed, as being a viewer and a subscriber and a content creator. They're taken very seriously. A lot of people will tell you what you're doing wrong, why you're doing it wrong, why are you using this product, why aren't you using that product. And it's it's kind of nerve-wracking, because all it really should be is that you're putting on your makeup, you're showing people how you do it. You're not saying that you're a makeup artist or a professional. It's just something that you do as an everyday, average Joe, next-door neighbor person would do it. And if somebody else is not comfortable and sees you doing it, then they'll do it, and they'll want to try this product or that product or what have you. So for me, I kind of do it, you know, in a simpler way. The other thing that I started doing as well is my collie chats, which I'm really when I started my channel, my best friend Chris and I, we would do like these just silly whatever videos. We would do skits, or we would do karaoke based videos where we would talk about, you know, when we used to be DJs and that kind of stuff. And then it branched into collie chats, where it was picking sort of topics and sort of things that were going on, you know, on YouTube or, you know, in our personal lives and that kind of thing. and it really branched out, and I really enjoy doing them. My only problem with Collie Chats is that there's not enough feedback where when I do ask about topics, and when I do ask about, you know, what do you guys want us to discuss, or what would you guys like to discuss in the comments, there's very little feedback on that. So I'm trying to figure out ways of getting more people involved with that, but so that's another thing you can do when you do your channels, is you pick a series of something that you want to include on your channel consistently, so people have something to come back to, and they know you're going to be doing it, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, you know, however you decide you want to do it. It's always nice to have a series on your channel, something that kind of like juices it up a little bit more, to where it's not your standard, just regular channel with your normal videos that you have, which is fine too, but you want to do something that kind of like makes them want to tune in every week, just like you would tune into, you know, Pretty Little Liars, or you would tune into Lost, or, you know, Breaking Bad, or that kind of thing, because you know that there's suspense and there's other things gonna, you know, intrigue you to want to watch. So there's that. And then I decided to do the small channel shoutouts. For me personally, like I said, I do consider myself a small channel. I'm under about 3,000 subscribers as of now, which is huge, you know, to most people. To me, I still think that I'm about yay small. And I want to talk about a little bit of what it feels like when you do hit here. If you're starting out and you're, you know, sitting there at 50 or 10 or 5, what have you, you know, and you're like, oh, I want to be like that. It is a lot of work. You are going to have to put a lot of work into it. And when I mean a lot of work, I mean you're not only going to be creating the content, but you're going to be editing your content, and you're going to be making sure that your content is received the way you want it to be received, and also that it's shared amongst the communities that you want it shared amongst. So if you're going to make videos about makeup or beauty or skincare, you want to make sure that your beauty community is where you're sharing this the most. You don't want to share this in like the automotive community. You don't want to share this in like the gamer community, because they have no interest in that, unless they have, you know, sisters or sisters and moms and daughters and that kind of thing, and who cares, brothers, whoever's interested in beauty. But I'm saying is, in your general sense, you want to make sure that you gear it towards the audience that you are making the content for. The other thing is social media. Social media is huge when you are going to be making videos on YouTube. You want to make sure that everything is active at the same time. The same thing that goes for bloggers when they start. You should always have a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram, and if you choose to, a Pinterest. I am not one of those people that likes to use Pinterest. I don't see it do very much for me. But if you have a Pinterest and you want to send your content to Pinterest and you get feedback from that, that's a wonderful way. There's also Tumblr. There's also, you know, so many, Vine. There's so many different areas of social media that you can engage people that could potentially come to watch your channel. The other thing is linking your blogs to your videos. So many times, and I'm guilty of this myself, I do not do blog posts that link to my videos. Whenever I do blog posts, I will do them on the reviews that I only want on my blog post, but sometimes I don't connect it with my YouTube channel, or the YouTube reviews I'm doing, I don't connect it with my blog channel, and I need to stop doing that. I need to start doing that, actually, because again, you want your audience to see you being consistent, and you want your audience to see that you're not only just talking to the camera, but you're actually putting it in black and white, that these are your real thoughts and this is what you're really promoting and how you're doing it. So if you have a blog, it is really important to, you know, feature your YouTube videos every once in a while. If you're doing a review on something, especially if you're going to be traveling somewhere, if you're going to be going to a special event or a place that you have planned to go with friends or family or what have you, definitely document it, but make a video about it so you can put them together, and that will give you guys more content to show on your channels. Let's talk about subscriber count now, because this is a very sensitive issue on YouTube. Nobody really likes to elaborate on subscriber count. A lot of people say, especially the ones that are up there in numbers, oh, yep, those numbers don't matter. Those numbers don't matter. Well, I kind of disagree with that, because if those numbers didn't matter, then who are you talking to? Who are you giving your content to? And I know we all say that we do these for ourselves, that we are, you know, giving ourselves to the world, but, you know, really in general terms, are we just looking to watch them ourselves, or do we want people to watch us, engage with us, interact, and, you know, give us feedback? Of course we do. So in order to do that, you have to have subscribers. And of course those numbers count, because this is what you're doing all this work for. Now, I'm not saying you have to bang your head and hit your head and be like every other, you know, person in the world that sits there and says, well, this one's got 5,000 and this one's got 8,500 and I've got 10. And why is that? Because everybody is an individual and everybody has different channels, and some people get there through their own ways, and I'm not even going to touch upon that, because there are ways people have gotten there, and I ain't even going to go there. That's a whole other video. But when you're a small channel, of course it matters, because you just don't want it to be your friends or your family. You'd like it to be potential new friends. You'd like it to be potential people that you could work with, you know, in the near future. It could be companies and brands and sponsors and that kind of a thing. If that's what you're looking for to do on your channel, of course those numbers matter. This is what companies look for. This is what fellow subscribers look for. They look to see who's watching, and sometimes, I hate to say this, how many people are watching. So let's get off the numbers don't matter, because I don't agree with that. And then there is the typical frustrations. I find myself frustrated all the time. I am subscribed to quite a bit of people, but they're not, for me, I only subscribe to people I know I'm going to watch, and the ones that I am subscribed to for a long time, I may not watch all of their content, but I will watch content that I'm interested in. And that's another thing you also have to factor into when you have a YouTube channel, is that not everybody's going to like what you have, not everybody's going to watch every video you ever made, and that you should expect, because of course there are some that relate to certain things and there are some that just don't. So that is something that you have to consider as well. For me, the frustration comes from non-feedback. The frustration comes from if there's something personal that I discuss, or something that, you know, people will take as, sometimes I see that there are channels that are getting bigger and bigger, and you don't really get why, because they're kind of just doing the same things, or they're all of a sudden changing who they are, or they're now kind of copying other people, and it's really disheartening. And so therefore, you know, it's really kind of a struggle for us kind of smaller YouTubers, because we don't want to become that, and at the same time we're all in the same boat as far as like all of these frustrations that I just mentioned. So my best advice with that is to keep plugging at it, keep doing what you're doing, make it different every once in a while, be creative with it every once in a while, you know, throw humor into it if you're into that. Throw, you know, theatrics into it if you're into that. Throw, you know, whatever. Don't be so, like, mundane or just repetitive to the point where you're just like, okay, so here's another product, and here's a review on it, and I got this from this company, or I got it from that company, and this is a sponsored video, or what have you. After a while, people are like this, and they're moving on. So instances, you want to talk about certain things about your life, but you should kind of be careful about that as well. You don't want to give your social security number out. You don't want to give your, you know, like where you live. You know, you can talk about like your area, but you don't want to give out like your address, that kind of thing. That's happened to me where I've actually in videos shown my address and that kind of thing, because you don't think about it. But so that is it. As far as like my in-depth synopsis about YouTube and small channels and why I decided to do the small channel shoutouts, bottom line is I believe that we all work very hard at what we want to do. I think that it needs to be given so much more credit than it already is being given. And who's better to do that but the ones that are small channels that may be growing, but at the same time do not want to forget where they came from and want to give back to you. So if you're watching this and you just started a channel, I really wish you the best of luck. I hope that some of these tips will help you. Please definitely come and watch my small Channel Shoutout series. I do not turn away anyone, whatever kind of channel you have, whether you're a gamer, a beauty person, a freebie coupon person, you talk about, you know, topics or whatever it is. You know, I may not personally be somebody that, you know, gets it, but there is always an audience out there. I just want to be the person that gives the platform so I can give you guys what I personally like sometimes, and then what I think may interest you, because not everybody, you know, is interested in the same things all the time. So it's good to have variety. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, any comments, or anything like that, please leave them below. I love your feedback, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.